Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our hadith class. We are doing the kitab known as Riyadh al-Salihin of Imam an-Nawawi rahimahullah, and we just started last week with the chapter regarding muraqabah, and I gave a lengthy introduction to the topic, digressing at least I should say, and as the result we only ended up doing one hadith of the chapter. So tonight inshallah ta'ala we are carrying on from the second hadith, which is hadith number 61 as far as the kitab is concerned. So of course I should make mention of one thing here, is that in certain different prints of the kitab the hadith numbers may differ, but anyway the one that I am currently using over here, we are on hadith number 61. So without further delay, let us begin. Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. So it is الثاني عن أبي ذر جندب بن جنادة رضي الله عنه. The famous Sahabi Hazrat Abu Dharr al-Ghifari رضي الله عنه, his real name was Jundub ibn Junada رضي الله عنه. وأبي عبد الرحمن معاذ بن جبل رضي الله عنهما. The second Sahabi Hazrat Mu'adh ibn Jabal رضي الله عنه, he is most famously known by his actual name, but his kunya was Abu Abdurrahman. Contrary to Hazrat Abu Dharr, on the other hand, whose name is Jundub ibn Junada, but he is more famously known by his kunya of Abu Dharr. Any case, both these Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they report عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال, that Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, اتق الله حيثما كنت وأتبع السيئة الحسنة تمحها وخالق الناس بخلق حسن. رواه الترمذي وقال حديث حسن. This hadith, the Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, اتق الله حيثما كنت, that fear Allah wherever you may be. This is small words, great and deep in its meaning. That fear Allah wherever you may be. The thing is that sometimes a person can display a degree of taqwa in the masjid, for example. So people think you're a person of taqwa. You may be, for example, amongst, let's say you're walking with some friends, some ulama, or some people of deen, like this here. So you're not going to look at girls in the street. You're not going to, for example, take out a cigarette and smoke it. Things of the sort. People tend to have the taqwa of people. They afraid of what people may say. But the hadith is ittaqillaha haythuma kunta. You have some people, and that's why you used to find some of the ulama in the recent past who used to say that make your holidays holy days, because people used to go on holiday and then it's like they leave their deen behind. Now you wore a kurta and everything when you were at home. Now you're out in another town, you're on the beach with the shorts on, you're busy checking out all the merchandise. This is not a Muslim. Your iman don't get left behind. So ittaqillaha haythuma kunta. Fear Allah wherever you are, whether people know you or don't know you, whether you are amongst sinners or saints, it makes no difference. Fear Allah wherever you are, because while people may not see you there, but Allah sees you wherever you are. So fear Allah wherever you may be. وَأَتْبِعِ السَّيِّئَةَ الْحَسَنَةَ تَمْحُهَا. And follow an evil deed up with a good deed. And what will happen? تَمْحُهَا. That good deed will wipe out the sin. This is something that Allah has taught us in the Quran as well. إِنَّ الْحَسَنَاتِ يُذْهِبْنَ السَّيِّئَاتِ. Verily, good deeds erase bad ones. Allah told us that in the Quran. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam reiterates that point, that a good deed wipes out a sin. So while you should be doing good deeds at all times, sometimes, and it is normal, people tend to fall into sin some point or the other. So when you happen to find yourself falling and having committed a sin, immediately hasten to do some sort of good deed. Now, what good that is, any good deed will be perfectly fine. So obviously, number one, you would make your istighfar. Let's say, for example, you were out somewhere in the street. So now, let's say maybe, for example, okay, let's put it this way. You happen to go to a shop, some mall somewhere, and there's a song playing and you listening now to the music, enjoying the music over there. And then you catch yourself and you realize, I'm not supposed to be doing this. Then you see a poor Muslim, for example, you take out some money, you give him sadaqah. That's a good deed following up a bad one. It wipes it out. Well, with a correct intention, obviously, that you realize I've committed a sin. Oh Allah, forgive me. I'm giving some good deed. For example, or you read some Quran, you perform some salah, anything you may do. A good deed on the back of an evil deed will erase that evil deed from your book of deeds. And that's what this portion of the hadith at least is telling us. وَخَالِقِ النَّاسَ بِخُلُقٍ حَسَنٍ. And interact with people, deal with people with good character. And khuluqin hasan is a whole topic all on its own. You have many of the salaf that have given explanations as to what exactly is khuluqin hasanin, good character and things of the sort. But generally, we tend to have an understanding of what exactly is good character. Good character, however, to a degree in modern times has become a bit skewed on account of the fact that you have some people and they have become, let's put it this way, modernized. They have become watered down. So things where you are when you are angry for the sake of Allah, they're like, no, this is not good. This is bad qualities. In reality, this is a command of the Sharia. This forms part of khuluqin hasan in reality, but many people don't see things that way. So khuluqin hasan is that a good character which the Sharia deems to be good character. You may be a person and you, to put it for lack of a better word, you grovel to the kuffar, for example, or to the tyrants, to the CCs of this world, to the MBSs of this world, to all these type of people. Now, people are like, normally he's a good person, and things, so, it's part of his nature. That's a bad thing in the case like that. Look at the example of the ulama of the Salaf, when you had people like the A'imma and the Khulafa of the time, they would harshly rebuke and reprimand them. And yet these were the greatest of ulama that the world had seen. So there is a time and a place for everything, and all of that actually forms part of good character, not the hippie, peace, everybody, love all, hate none, so things that is not a part of good character from a Shari'i perspective. But in any case, that's the second hadith. Imam Tirmidhi rahimahullah reports it, and he says it is a hadithun hasanun. It's a good hadith. By this, Imam Tirmidhi means it is authentic. الثالث عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما. This is a very famous hadith, very deep in meaning as well. Has a lot of points that applies throughout the ages, including the modern time. Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas رضي الله عنهما, he said, قال كنت خلف النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يوما. In another narration, كنت ردف رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Ridf is a radif, means somebody who's sitting on the animal behind the rider. So in this case here, he used the word khalfa, which means behind. But to put the hadith in the correct context, he was behind Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam on a mount at this one particular day, on this one occasion. فقال, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told me, to Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas, Ya ghulam, inni u'allimuka kalimat. Oh youngster, I am going to teach you some words, which is ihfadhillaha yahfadhka, which literally we translate to protect Allah and Allah will protect you. Now, how do you protect Allah? Ulama have explained that it means protect and preserve and look after the commands of Allah. So always, and this is the point of how this hadith relates to this particular chapter, this ihfadhillaha yahfadhk. Preserve and protect the commands of Allah, and Allah will protect and preserve and safeguard you. So what does it mean to protect and safeguard the commands of Allah? When Allah has given a command with regards to a particular thing, so you fulfill it, you propagate it to others, you do nahi anil munkar when you see people opposing it. All of this forms part of safeguarding the laws of Allah. And when you do this, يحفظك, then Allah will protect and safeguard you. When difficulty and problems come your way, Allah will be there to protect you. But if you abandon all the commands of Allah and everything, how can you expect that Allah must still be there for you in your time of need? And you'll see this a little bit clearer when we reach the next half of this hadith. Next half as in the next narration of this hadith. But for now, let's carry on. Then, احفظ الله تجده تجاهك. Protect the commands of Allah and you will find Allah in front of you. What does this part here mean? That when you are protecting and safeguarding the commands of Allah, you will find that Allah will be in front of you. In the sense that we see from another hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a person, when you fulfill all the commands of Allah, Allah becomes the eyes with which you see, the ears with which you hear, the hand with which you touch, all those sort of things. So you have a hadith like that, which puts this one in further clarity, which is that when you are always there protecting, preserving, upholding the laws of the Sharia, then Allah will be there guiding you as well. So every action that you do will be with the guidance from the side of Allah. So this portion as well links to the chapter of Muraqabah, to be realizing that Allah is seeing and aware of everything. So then that's the first portion, or the first two statements of the hadith. Then, إِذَا سَأَلْتَ فَاسْأَلِ اللَّهِ. When you ask only of Allah. وَإِذَا اسْتَعَنْتَ فَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. فَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. When you seek aid and assistance, then seek aid and assistance from Allah. Now here, these 2 points, it is important to note that this is a general, unrestricted statement made by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And our first and foremost recourse in every situation should be to turn and ask Allah. And this is why it's mentioned in a hadith that even if it is so much as a strap of your sandal, if that breaks, before you ask somebody, ask Allah first. When you are having difficulty, ask Allah, then you can ask somebody else. If you ask Allah, Allah will make it easy for the person that you plan on asking. Allah will make it easy and possible for that person to help you. But if you rely only on yourself and everything like this, let me give you an example. You're a person, you are falling on tight times. Now you need a loan, for example. You plan on going to a particular person and asking him for a loan. Maybe he'll give you, maybe he won't give you. Very likely he'll give you in your mind. Now you may turn up there and you say, you know what, I fell on a hard patch. I can't help you. Now, you struck out. But if you say, oh Allah, I need help, I turn to you for help, oh Allah, make it possible for me to be able to get a loan. Then you go to the person and you say, I'm in need of a loan. If that is something that will be good for you, Allah will make a means of opening it up and the person will say, here you are, for example. So that's how it goes. With every single thing in life, first ask Allah, then you can turn to people after that. When you want to go and see a doctor, first ask Allah for cure before you come to the doctor. And this applies across the board to anything you may want to do or anything you may need to ask help or anything of the sort. First Allah, then anybody else. Going on, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْأُمَّةَ لَوْ اجْتَمَعَتْ عَلَىٰ أَن يَنْفَعُوكَ بِشَيْءٍ لَمْ يَنْفَعُوكَ إِلَّا بِشَيْءٍ قَدْ كَتَبَهُ اللَّهُ لَكَ. And know, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is telling Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas, know this well, that if the ummah, here it means literally the entire world, everybody, if everyone on the surface of the earth were to come together, عَلَىٰ أَن يَنْفَعُوكَ بِشَيْءٍ, to aid you with one small little tiny thing, لم ينفعوك إلا بشيء قد كتبه الله لك. They will not be able to assist you except with that little, with that degree of things that Allah has written for you. Let me read the next portion of the hadith before carrying on. وإن اجتمعوا على أن يضروك بشيء, and if the whole world were together to harm you with something, small, no matter how small it is, لم يضروك إلا بشيء قد كتبه الله عليك. They will not be able to harm you except to that degree that Allah has written for you. رفعت الأقلام وجفت الصحف. The pens have been lifted and the pages have dried. Now, this last portion of the hadith of them everyone wanting to help you or everyone wanting to harm you. We live in a current situation right now with the whole COVID saga plaguing the world. The reality of the situation is that if the whole world and all their vaccinations and everything that all of them put together with all their social distance and every protocol they want to bring into effect and every triple layer mask and whatever you can think of that they put into effect, they will not, none of that, not the whole world of it together will not be able to benefit you, not be able to save you, not that one little bit, except if Allah has written that for you. And people today have forgotten that. They tend to think, oh, you're not wearing a mask, you're going to die. Oh, you're not social distancing, you're going to just get the disease and die. It don't work that way. And on the flip side of the coin, we are now seeing the push for the vaccination and stuff of the sort. And it's like, if you don't get vaccinated, you will die. You will kill half the population. You'll be guilty of murder or culpable homicide at the very least, the way they are going on. In reality, they cannot harm you, they cannot benefit you, not even an iota, except to that degree that Allah has written. And that is the reality. And that's why the hadith ends off with those words of gold, which is رُفِعَتِ الْأَقْلَامُ وَجَفَّتِ الصُّحُفُ. The pens have been lifted and the pages have dried. Ulama have explained what this means is that the qada and qadr, the taqdeer that Allah has written out, it is already written, it is done. If you are to die from COVID, the world and everything it contains will not protect you. And if you are not to die from it, then the world and everything it contains cannot harm you with it. That's the reality. Today, people are like, I must go and get my vaccination, first shot, second shot, booster shot, and then boom, the person just died. From what? From COVID. How does that happen? Well, you know, there's different variants here, and the Delta or the C.12 is the one. Say what you want to. At the end of the day, the pens have been lifted and the pages have dried, and the qada and the qadr of Allah is what has taken effect. That's the reality. You can go literally your whole life without a mask or social distancing or anything of the sort at all. You can be 50,000 people in one small masjid, for example, and not one person will get a single illness from the other because of, firstly, la adwa, there's no contagious disease, but moreover, it will only affect you if Allah has decreed that it will affect you, otherwise it will not. And this is the reality that many people today have lost sight of. الترمذي وقال حديث حسن صحيح. Imam Tirmidhi rahimahullah reports the hadith and he says it is an authentic, reliable hadith. Moving on, وفي رواية غير الترمذي, and this is what I said, you'll find the hadith in another another chain of narration in another kitab. He says in another riwayah reported by someone besides Imam Tirmidhi rahimahullah, Imam An-Nawawi, he left out the initial part of the hadith. He just comes to the words where there's a real difference, so to speak. احفظ الله تجده أمامك instead of احفظ الله تجده تجاهك. So uphold and safeguard the commands of Allah, and you will find Allah in front of you. So tujahak, amamak, same meaning, synonyms, but to give you clarity on the matter. The next part where there's a real change is تعرف إلى الله في الرخاء يعرفك في الشدة, which translates to be that which, if you were to translate it from a more verbatim type thing, which is know Allah during times of ease, and Allah will know you during times of difficulty. In other words, when when things are going your way, when you're going, everything, the doors of everything is just opening for you. The world is laying at your feet and things like this. Everything's going your way. Then at this point in time, when everything is going your way, do not forget about Allah. Many people tend to fall into this thing. It's like, I get up in the morning and it's like the whole earth is laid out in front of me. If I want something, it's there. And things of the sort. So they forget about showing the gratitude to Allah that should be shown. So as a result, they go about doing everything, thinking it's all from them and their hard work and everything like this here, and they don't pay the due to Allah that they should. And then as is inevitable, the difficult times will come. Now when the difficulties come, now it's like, why don't Allah help me? In reality, all the time when you had things easy, you never asked or never lifted your hands once to thank Allah for all of that which had come your way. So uphold and worship Allah, take care of the rights of Allah during times of ease, and then when times of difficulty comes, and it will come, irrespective of whether you're a sinner or a saint. In both cases, you will have difficulty. Why? Because difficulty is part of how Allah has created this world. Most definitely, Allah tells us, most definitely, most certainly, we will most definitely test you. بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين. That loss of life, loss of fruit, loss of you're gonna have difficulty. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Give glad tidings to those who make sabr. So Allah gives difficulty in your path for you to make sabr so that your ranks can be raised. So at any point, regardless of whether you are the greatest of saints or the worst of sinners, difficult times will come. And thus, when the difficult time comes, if you are always there fulfilling the rights of Allah, then Allah will be there to help you during this time when things are difficult for you. Because take what you want. Everybody knows, and we see it more often in today's time. Maybe you have all the money in the world, but all the money in the world can't, for example, prevent somebody from dying. Now you have this I don't want to be like one of those people who speak COVID, but it's just that it's a more, let's say, relatable topic for many people. So difficulties that will come your way, for example, is the death of a family or a loved one. So now, for example, the difficulty comes, all the money, everything in the world couldn't have held it back. It was meant to come, it came. Now, if you were always there turning to Allah, then at this point, when things are at its bleakest and darkest and most difficult for you, you will find that Allah will be there to help you. وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ مَا أَخْطَأَكَ لَمْ يَكُنْ لِيُصِيبَكَ وَمَا أَصَابَكَ لَمْ يَكُنْ لِيُخْطِئَكَ. The next part of the hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, and know this well, that ma akhta'aka lam yakun liyusibaka, that which missed you was never ever gonna reach you. وَمَا أَصَابَكَ, and that which afflicted you, which reached you, lam yakun liyukhti'aka, it was never ever gonna miss you. Many people tend to think that they have the wrong belief in this regard, if only, and that's why in a hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that people should not talk about if only this, if only that, because if only, it opens up the door, that statement of if only, it opens up the door for shaitan. Because that's what's happening. You are basically thinking, if I had done things differently and all this year, maybe if I didn't open the shop that day, then maybe if I didn't, let's say, for example, you were riding with your family in a car and you decided to go on holiday. And then while on a holiday, tire burst, somebody in the car died. Now you're like, if only we didn't go on holiday, that one wouldn't have died. No, what was meant to afflict you was going to do so no matter what. And what was not going to affect you would never have done so no matter what. So you can think, if only we didn't go on holiday, you wouldn't have died. In reality, no matter what you did, he was going to die. That's the reality. So what was meant to reach you will always reach you, and what was not meant to reach you will never reach you. So you may make the dua, istikhara regarding somebody, you want to marry somebody, things of the sort here, very common in today's time. So you ask Allah with regards to somebody, it's a good proposal, everything of the sort. But if it's meant for you, the whole world coming against you will not be able to change it. And if it's not meant for you, the whole world coming on your side will not be able to change it. What Allah has written, that is what will take place. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ النَّصْرَ مَعَ الصَّبْرِ. Know that victory is with sabr. وَأَنَّ الْفَرْجَ مَعَ الْكَرْبِ. And that ease is with the difficulty. Ease is with difficulty. وَأَنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. And verily with the ease, with difficulty is ease. two things sound similar, slight difference from a linguistic perspective, but let's touch on it one by one without delving too much into linguistics. أن النصر مع الصبر. When you make sabr, then the help of Allah comes. You know, one way or the other, if a difficulty has befallen you, what's your option? Either you make sabr or you become angry with Allah. وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. You becoming angry with Allah is not going to change anything at all. But if you make sabr, then the assistance of Allah comes. If you are in in jihad, on the battlefield, sabr and the assistance of Allah comes. Difficulty will be there, yes, but you make sabr and the assistance of Allah comes. When the Muslims were small in number and the kuffar were great in their masses, the Sahaba, the Muslims always, they made sabr and Allah sent the assistance. So the help of Allah comes when you are making sabr. Make sabr and the help of Allah will be there. وَعَنَ الْفَرَجَ مَعَ الْكَرْبِ. Karb is when, some difficulty, some problem. And faraj means the opening, that you are now in some difficulty and you are open, that difficulty is opened and you are set free from it. So وَأَنَّ الْفَرَجَ مَعَ الْكَرْبِ, and that with every problem that you find yourself in, the ease and coming out of it is not far away. And of course, وَأَنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا, we all know, verily with difficulty comes ease. And Allah repeats this twice in the Quran, مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا, to show that, the words are used on the back of the other, to show that it's so close to one another that you may be seeing only just the usr, but the yusr is right there. This difficulty which you are seeing, the ease is just around the corner. Make that sabr, and that ease will be sent by Allah, and that difficulty will leave you. And that's the end of so we actually did only 2 hadith for the entire night. Well, 3 if you really want to take this other narration as, even though it's not full hadith, but if you want to take it as another narration, I don't know. Am I going too slow with the narrations? Should I rather speed it up and not give too much digressing explanations? I mean, it's up to you if what you feel. If you feel that no, we need to push to do a bit more, then we can do that. I mean, we'll stop for this point here tonight, inshallah ta'ala, at the end of the 3rd hadith. But just so I know for future, should we rather do less explanation, more hadith, or keep on doing at the pace that we are going at? It's your choice. It's okay. I assume that means it's okay to carry on at the current pace of things. So, Jazakallah khair, and inshallah then we'll continue on like this. Okay, so that being that, we'll end on this point, and okay, Jazakumullah khair. We will end then on this point here, inshallah, until next time, which will be next week, Tuesday, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Until then, we will end for tonight, inshallah. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.